everyone, Sarah here. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today as we swatch some inks. What I thought I would do today is just show you a couple of inks that I think would be work appropriate. And the reason I thought that this would be a good swatching video is from personal experience. As I was first getting into fountain pens, I loved the idea of all these inks, but I didn't know if, you know, any of them would be suitable for work. And, you know, when I journal at home, great, I can use tons of colors, but I also wanted to find colors that I loved that, you know, are appropriate in a workplace setting. So I've got 4 inks. 3 of them are probably considered standard work colors, and then 1 I think is passable at the end. The way I'm going to swatch is I've just got my Stalogy notebook here. This is grid paper, so I'll swatch in here. I'm also going to swatch on these Kikuyu campus word cards, and I'll be using my Pilot dip pen. So to start off, this one's pretty well known to everyone, Diamine Oxblood. Now, you might be thinking, you know, am I choosing a red for like grading papers or anything? No, I don't grade papers at all, and I don't. Before trying Oxblood, I would have thought that it really was just for like correcting things. But having written with it now for a little bit, first of all, it's just an incredible ink, but in some pens or in some instances, it can actually almost look black. It's this really, really dark red. And I think there's something about the darkness of it. It makes it formal, which, oh, I went super high at the end there, which might sound a bit weird, but there's just a seriousness to it. I'm interested to see how it looks on the dip pen, because I find it almost looks redder in swatches than it does in a pen. But even that, like, I laid on a bit of ink there. It's just gorgeous. I don't have tons of ink left in my sample bottle, so we'll see how the dip pen goes. Not overly successful. Set my camera up on the other side because I'm hoping it won't jump in and out of focus as much. So I think that's what was happening last time because it was on my right side. So this is even how it writes on the swatch is incredible. It's a really wet ink, but in a good way. Like, it's not uncontrollable for me. I don't find that it makes my handwriting any worse. It's just incredible. I'm very sad that my sample of this is basically over. It's definitely one that I'd be wanting to get a bottle of. There's also another one. There's a Diamine Writer's Blood, which people also are obsessed with. I think it's a bit darker. That's definitely one I want to give a try as well. But for me, I actually think that this is work appropriate, both if for note taking or if you did need, sorry, I just knocked my brush there, if you did need a red pen. Just pause for a second to fix up the bits of water I just spilled. Awesome. So next up, I have a blue ink to show you guys. I actually really struggle with finding blues even before fountain pens when I just grab a a ballpoint or a rollerball or whatever it be, at work, in my personal life, I'd always go for black. I never would reach for blue, so I'm trying to challenge myself to broaden my horizon and really discover some blues that I like. I think I'm going to end up liking more like in the blue-black world, or blue-grey, but I did get some kind of normal, quote-unquote, blues to try as well. I haven't used this next one yet, but let's swatch it. And from the swatch that I saw online, I thought this would be a pretty good work-appropriate blue, and that is Robert Oster Blue Night. I know that Pilot Iroshizuku Konpeki has quite a cult following, if you were on the lookout for really popular blues as well. Just move that swatch out of the way. So I'd call this, I guess, a medium to dark blue. It's definitely, oh, there you go, it's quite a bit of ink. It's definitely legible. I think it would be appropriate for work. I don't mind it in like the lighter bits as well. If that's gonna bleed through. Let's have a look what it looks like on here. See, this is where I struggle because I don't have much to say about it. It's blue. It's funny, I can talk about other colours forever, and then it comes to blues and I just don't have much to say. Let's see what it looks like in the dip pen. So this one is Robert Oster. Interestingly, in the writing sample compared to the swatch, this almost looks cooler. I don't know what's in the undertones of it, whether it's like a grey or a green. In the writing sample, it has a bit more character to me. And there actually are bits of shading there as well, and this nib is a fine nib, so that's pretty cool. Like in the R there, and I think even in the lighter bits where the ink hasn't pooled, it is still dark enough that you can read it. So I'm just looking like at that T down the bottom there, the ink's pooled, but the crossbar's not as much. It flows really nicely, this ink. I mean, I feel like on this nib, most things are going to flow quite nicely. It doesn't feel as wet as the Oxblood, but it's definitely not a dry ink by any means. I think the Oxblood is just quite wet. So I'll bring that up close for you. I don't mind that. I like it. I think I prefer darker blues compared to lighter ones. But again, if I picked that up at work, I think that would be fine. And, you know, it has a little bit of character, so it'll make the page a bit more interesting. Next up is another Robert Oster. I decided not to put just a straight black in here because I guess I wanted to give options that are appropriate but also a little bit different. So the next one I have is Robert Oster Thunderstorm, which in some pens definitely does read black. It's like a really, really dark grey with probably actually, now that I think about it, some blue undertones. It writes really nicely. I had this last month, my Lamy All-Star inked up with it in an extra fine nib, and that nib can be a bit scratchy, and the ink actually behaved really well in that pen. It didn't feel scratchy at all. This, for me, when I go back to work, is one I would seriously consider putting in a workhorse pen. So this will be one, I guess, to watch dry as well, because when it just goes on, it does look almost black. But then just wait for it to dry. My circle got a little bit wonky there. Let's go here. I'm actually currently on maternity leave, and I've only discovered this fountain pen hobby whilst on leave. So I actually haven't yet, I guess, been back at work and using fountain pens. I have ordered a couple of fountain pens off AliExpress just to see kind of what they would look like, and if that was to be, I guess, a workhorse pen, if that makes sense, and one that I wouldn't be devastated if it got broken or lost. We'll see how I go. I'd be really interested, for those of you who are currently in the workforce, if you've found a great pen that is, I guess, both an everyday carry but for work, one that can get knocked around a bit. I guess it has to be a bit robust. And then also if you've found an ink. So this is Robert Oster. I also love the name, and it rings true. So I'll show you on this swatch card, just because that one's still drying. When it first goes down, like especially when I did that circle, it just looks black, even from far away. But as it comes closer, you can actually see that it's got like a bluey grey to it. And when you write with it with a full page, if someone was to look at it at a quick glance, yeah, it can look black. It's definitely dark enough to be completely legible, but it just has these beautiful, touches or tints of, I don't know whether it's like a blue grey or it's like a warm dark grey. And you can see the difference as well, like depending on the flow of the ink you put it in. When you lay down a lot of ink, it does get quite dark, but even that, it has layers to it. I think it's a really beautiful ink, and my writing experience with it has been great. So the last one, and I've just realised I've done 2 Robert Osters and 2 Diamines for this swatching video. This one might be a bit rogue. It's Diamine Twilight. It's like a teal, a bluey green, and I know that green doesn't fall into the category of, I guess inks you'd think to use at work, but it's really dark, and I wonder if it's, maybe not for things that, have to go out to other people, but like things like team meetings, or where there can be a little bit of room for a bit more creativity. I wonder if this one could sneak in. So I'll do a swatch for you and show you what I mean. I really like this ink. Ooh, struggling to fill in this circle, aren't I? I guess I know it's teal, which does have green in it, but for me, it's on the darker side, and the blue in it is obvious that I think it would be appropriate. And depending on how you write, again, when you look at it as for a page of text, the green doesn't jump out. Like, it doesn't look like, I don't know, you're writing with like some gel pen from an art store or something. It does, for me, like the blue and the darkness of the green that can read black depending on where you are, rings true or speaks out, which is why I've included it in this sample. So, do you know what? Before I speak anymore, let's not tempt fate and let's put the lid back on the ink. There you have. Pardon me, I don't know what happened there. There you have it. These, I thought I just put together some suggestions for some work appropriate inks, and I tried to do, I guess, one in every colour. So for red, Diamine Oxblood. For blue, Robert Oster Blue Night. For a blackish, Robert Oster Thunderstorm. You know, looking at it now that it's dried, and you can see like the lighter just here. There's bits of black, there's bits of grey, there's almost a little bit of purple and blue, and then Diamine Twilight. This lighter bit, depending on the pen you're using, it does read more like the darker. And so for me, I think that could sneak in. It's almost like we've gone, you're getting a little bit more creative as you go down the page. But, you know, why should we only enjoy fountain pens at home? And if you're someone like me, I can spend a lot of time at work and a lot of time writing. So anything I can do to make it more enjoyable, why not? There you have it, guys. Thanks for watching this video. I'd love to know what your go-to ink is for work. And as I was saying before, definitely interested in what people's workhorse, you know, go-to fountain pen for work is, because I am going to find myself in that situation soon, and definitely some of my pens I wouldn't feel confident taking into work. As always, thank you so much for watching this, guys. If you liked the video, if you could hit that thumbs up button, that would be great, and I will speak to you guys all again soon. See you later.